Introduction. The missed variable. Quote from the book. Baseball has never struggled to measure talent. It has struggled to measure why talent disappears. If you made it this far in the series, we've already talked about why the book exists, who it's for, and the idea that baseball isn't simply testing skill, it's testing something underneath skill. Now we get into the first real concept that changes everything. This chapter is called The Missed Variable. And I believe this is where baseball starts asking the wrong questions. For hundreds of years, we've become incredibly good at measuring what we can see. I always talk about it. We measure swings, mechanics, velo, exit velo, bat speed, spin rate, attack angle, 60s, strength, mobility, power, all of it. Right? We got cameras on every angle, radar guns, motion capture, force plates, AI. Every year, baseball gets better at measuring the body. But here's the question. For measuring everything, why do players still disappear in games? Hey, think about it. Every coach listening has watched a kid absolutely dominate in BP. Every parent's watched their kid look incredible in lessons. And every scout's seen a bullpen where the ball is just absolutely jumping out of the hand and cracking that mitt. And then Friday night comes, lights come on, so runners on base, inning gets uncomfortable, and suddenly the player doesn't look like the same player. The mechanics didn't disappear. Strength didn't disappear. The talent didn't disappear. So what actually changed? That's the missed variable. Baseball spent decades trying to explain these moments with words that sound intelligent, but they don't explain anything. And he's in his head. He needs more confidence. He's pressing. He's got to slow the game down. He's overthinking. He needs to relax out there. You've heard them all. I've said them. You've probably said them too. And the problem isn't that they're completely wrong. The problem is that they're too shallow. They describe the smoke, they never explain the fire, and that's the difference. When you misdiagnose the problem, you build the wrong solution. Imagine taking your truck into the mechanic because the engine light's on, and the mechanic washes your windshield. It looks better, but it doesn't solve anything because he misunderstood the problem, and that's what baseball's been doing. We're polishing windshields while the engine is failing. Here's why that matters. Two hitters, identical swings, same exit velo, same bat speed, same coach, same team, same training, same age. One goes 3 for 4, the other one looks completely lost. What happened? Traditional baseball says he wasn't mentally tough. Maybe that's true. But that's not an explanation. That's just slapping a label on a kid. Labels don't solve problems. They stop people from asking better questions. This is where the EQOS starts separating itself from traditional mental performance. The question isn't why did he fail? The better question is what changed inside the system before the failure happened? Because if you watch closely, performance almost never collapses first. Behavior does. Behavior changes before performance changes. And that's huge. Before the strikeout, his pace changed. Before the error, his breathing changed. Before the bad inning, maybe his body language changed. Before the bad decision on the bases, his attention changed. Before the mechanics fell apart, the player disappeared. That's what this chapter is trying to teach. Behavior isn't random. Behavior is information. Behavior is data. Behavior is exposing the operating system underneath the player. Once you start seeing that, you can't unsee it. Right? Picture a pitcher, gives up a double, nothing unusual, right? Hitters get doubles, but watch closely. Right? As you start working faster, does he catch the ball different? Is he shaking more often, more aggressively? Or his walks behind the mound longer? His shoulders doing something different? Now everybody starts talking about command if he starts missing arm side. But command wasn't first, behavior was. The operating system changed first. Command simply followed. Okay, think about a hitter. First AB, line drive, right at somebody. Second at bat, hard ground ball. Right, another out, 0 for 2. Third at bat, now he's trying to force something. Right? He's cheating for velo. He's pulling off. You watch his shoulders. Everybody says, "Oh, his swing's off. He's pressing." Yeah, maybe. But what if the swing isn't actually the beginning? What if the frustration entered the operating system first and the swing simply reflected it? Right? He's trying to hit 2 doubles in 1 at bat, basically. He's already gone up there thinking that if he doesn't go 1 for 3, today is a failure. Okay, so there's behavior behind, and this is where it's a completely different conversation. Let's talk about the catcher. I spent years behind the plate. You can watch a catcher lose the game before the scoreboard tells you. Signs speed up, breathing changes, mound visit become emotional. He's throwing it harder to the catch. He's throwing it back harder to the pitcher, or maybe he's not looking at the bases the way he should be, not paying attention. Okay, the pitcher's feeling it, the infield sees it, dugout feels it. One person's operating system starts infecting everybody else's, and that's baseball. Here's what fascinates me. The higher levels I coached, the less interested I became in talent alone. Right? When I started scouting, I'd watch batting practice. Yeah, sure, everyone looked good. Most high-level players can hit baseballs in BP. I hope so. It shouldn't be hard. What interested me happened later. What happened after an error? What happened after an 0-2 count? What happened after the coach got on? Right? What happened after an umpire missed a call? What happened after the radar gun was 2 miles an hour slower and the pitcher saw it? And that's where the real information lives. It wasn't in the swing. It's in the response. Baseball keeps asking one question over and over. Can this player still access himself? Can this player still access himself when the environment stops cooperating? That's the game. Everything else is just scenery out there. And today's players are carrying something previous generations never had to carry. Constant comparison, constant exposure, stimulation, social media, recruiting, rankings, travel ball. Christ, they're, all of this at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, velo charts, video breakdown, private instruction, highlight reels. Nobody just plays anymore. They're carrying an entire digital world into every at bat. Then adults wonder, hey, why does a kid look so tight? Seriously? They're carrying far more than baseball. Okay? They're carrying an identity, approval, comparison, expectation, the fear of falling behind. Course behavior changes. That's why this chapter matters. It gives us permission to stop blaming the player and start reading the system. It doesn't mean we're lowering standards. It's far from that. In fact, it raises our standards because now coaches have to become better observers. Parents have to become calmer environments. Players have to become students of themselves. That's harder than memorizing mechanical cues, but it's infinitely more valuable. All right, one of my favorite lines from the book says this: the behavior changes before the mechanics fully collapse. The internal state shifts before the box score catches up. The system destabilizes before the stat line tells the truth. And that summarizes this entire chapter. And if you only watch outcomes, you're late. If you watch behavior, you're early. And coaching is largely about becoming earlier. Seeing breakdown before it collapses, seeing pressure before panic, seeing instability before failure. That's the edge. It's not another drill. It's not another cue. It's not another expensive piece of technology. It's a better lens. And that's what the EQOS is trying to give you, a better way to see. Because once you see the operating system underneath performance, the game starts making more sense. Players stop looking inconsistent. Parents stop wondering why their kid changes in games. Coaches stop yelling, relax, okay? Development becomes more precise. And that's where we're headed next. Because now that we've identified the missed variable, we have to define exactly what that variable is. What is the operating system? How does it actually work? How do awareness and capacity interact? Why does one player stay available while another disappears? And that's what the next chapter is about. the baseball operating system. Not another mental game book, not another confidence model, an actual framework for understanding why performance survives pressure or it doesn't. See you in the next chapter.